again, it looks funny. People make fun of me all the time. They call me Rocky. They rock back and forth. But what is my body telling? Sometimes, because this is, you know, I wouldn't call it the most exciting thing we do behind the chair, right? Sometimes this is a step that's necessary to get to the end result, which is really bringing alive that color or the shape in that haircut. So sometimes we go, through no fault of our own, on a little bit of the autopilot. Do you see how I do that? So I'm here. I'm going to heat those ends up. So I'm going to give it a few seconds to cool. I'm going to make my exit to support the curl.
Now, if you do that set, the next set you do, are you going to curl it the same way to match up with the one that's below it, or the opposite?
Opposite. And usually what I do, or what I find is, like, I would love to be like, okay, this curl is this way, and this curl is this way, and this curl is this way. But it just doesn't happen that way, because, you know, it's a blow dry. And so sometimes I accidentally find myself like, wait, what was that last curl? What you're really looking for is the discipline to not have all the curls go one way. Because if they all go one way, they will get stuck together and it'll look like a big wave. It won't look like curls. And so that's really what you're looking for. If you accidentally do two next to each other that are the same, it's not the end of the world. We're just really trying to give ourselves the discipline to create maximum results. And that's how we know we can get that maximum separation so waves crash against each other and they don't all roll together. So you'll be able to see now that we're starting to work up the head shape a little bit. This is where you're really going to see an exaggeration of that over direction as to support that volume. I do like to keep my sections nice and clean. It's not the end of the day, like if this all lays down on that, that's not horrendous, but what I would like to do is I would like to support the results. So I have this hair down. I'm going to take off as much as I need for my round brush, and I really am going to try to get the rest of that hair to lay to the side. I don't want them, yeah, go ahead.
Do you mind if I just try the curl one?
Please, please.
I'm sorry.
I'm excited. And if that section's too big, take it smaller, whatever you need. It's a little bit harder to do when you have it at the nozzle. No, stop it. It is totally fine. So you're a little bit far from your subject. Ordinarily, I think what we do is we do one of two things when we're working that close to the scalp, because they don't really teach us to work that close to the scalp, do they? They either teach us to rough dry and then work on the mids and ends. That way the scalp is already dry, because they don't want us to get up close to a guest and hurt them. But the truth of the matter is we're not going to hurt them. The only way we're going to hurt them is if we direct that nozzle onto them for an extended period of time. We can get absolutely right up to that base without ever causing discomfort to the guest just by using that ironing method. Right? That allows me to get super close to the scalp. If I'm far from the scalp, if my brush is separated or if my blow dryer is separated from my section, think about curly hair. Right? With her hair, do I not need to get right up to the scalp? Because that's where her curl begins. Think about guests who have coarser texture, right? Especially guests that are going gray. I need to get right close to the scalp. So just by using that ironing motion, as long as that blow dryer is in motion and you never stop it, you're not going to cause any discomfort to the guest. And that does take a bit to get a little bit more comfortable with, because we are so used to almost blow drying from far away. But get up close, because that's where you make the most amount of impact or difference on the blow dry, right? So loosen up on your, I know. Oh, that blow dryer?
Too long.
Sorry. It's
It's
like,
okay, I got 2 Rex arms.
it's like a Cadillac, like driving
This
Cadillac.
is just
So do me a favor and kind of like do one of these. Feel it. Oh no, that's not big enough. No, you got
no. The
Lose
guns are
it.
2 rounds.
it's too much power. Okay, and so just take like a half a step back from your work. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, I'm too close to her.
Now you'll give like, you gotta have some like, as my dad would say, some ass and elbow room, right? Like you gotta have a little bit of this motion here.
Now, how do I get this to stay with the round brush as I go to curl it without getting?
So what I do, it's hard for me to tell you, let me just show you real quick. So I use my pinky a lot. It's my #1 tool. So when or these 2 fingers rather. So when I'm here, I take it, do you see?
Mhm.
I'm almost twisting it and laying it back.
Gotcha.
The tension that you create here, I'm not worried about the ends right now, truth be told. Truth be told, what I'm doing is 2 things. I'm not only creating tension, but I'm getting those ends out of my way because until I blow dry the base and the mid shaft, I don't want to begin to curl the ends or I don't want to begin to blow dry them. So I'm really just kind of like telling it to like scoot over, get out of my way, but creating the most amount of tension by using that wrapping method. Yeah.
You're left-handed.
I am. You didn't know.
You're left-handed.
No, I'm not
was
left-handed.
like,
I am only left-handed. Like my right hand. We were out training this weekend, and Sarah, who is one of our amazing trainers, Sarah came from Michigan. She's amazing. She was like, use your right hand. Like, let it flow. I'm like, this is a hand? Like, you can use it? Like, what do you mean? Like, it holds brushes and everything. So she pushed me outside my comfort zone a little. So that's something I'm going to start trying to do. But, yeah, I am the most left-handed person ever. But now you have to do it holding a blow dryer. Which is why you can't hold the nozzle. Because then you can't hold.
I'm used to doing this, and then,
Yeah.
but this is a bigger one than what I'm used to. So I'm like, no, I got to get closer.
How big is your blow dryer? Like this big?
No, it's just a shorter set.
Oh, gotcha. Fair enough, fair enough. She's using the little petite blow dryers.
Baby was really light.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she's talking about. I have the same one.
One time, I was going in to do a class at a blow dry bar one time, and they use those blow dryers. So I was like, oh, I want to see what it's like, you know, because they blow dry for 8 and 10 hours a day. That thing was so light. I was like, boom, and like chucked it out of my hand. I wanted to crawl under a rock and die. I was like, oh my god. Because they're just like, ding.
Whenever one of my
Baby
coworkers
blow dryers.
just take my blow dryer,
When I'm
they're like,
doing
oh
it,
my god, I don't know how to use this. Like,
and then releasing the pressure. And when
It's
she
too
does it, she's
light.
holding the pressure
it
both sides.
is.
I mean, it feels pretty similar.
Okay.
I feel like you have to gain a little bit more control though.
Absolutely. I have no control over what's happening.
And that's okay too. Like, so the biggest thing with this is gaining control because we have our sectioning. We all feel good about this sectioning, right? Do we have any questions, comments, concerns about sectioning? So we all agree this sectioning fits our goals, right? We agree with how we work. So we're going to start in the top and we're going to work our way back. We all agree on that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fair enough? Yeah? Or rather, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes? We're okay. So now the way to speed up the process is practice. So that I wish I could say, you get the most amazing blow dry. You get the most amazing blow dry. Like Oprah and just sprinkle dust all over you all because I would.
look under your chair.
But
What is that?
I might have too big a section.
that sounded like Oprah for a second. didn't
She's
it?
here.
Oprah's here.
I would do. Have you ever seen those people on Facebook who can like fall down backwards and then stand right back up?
Yes.
I feel like that's what it would be like if I met Oprah. Side note. Okay, so to move forward with speed, because that's where we all want to be. We want to be able to give the most amazing blow dry at a really reasonable time rate. So what we're going to work on now is exactly what she said. So control of section. we're gonna work in finding a rhythm. So what works for us? What can we do to make sure that it flows from the body where it starts out through the hands, each section, right? So you gotta play with it a little and find your own rhythm. And once you find a rhythm, that speed will come each and every day. So if I were chatting with you, like stopping and stuff, I can get this blow dry done in about 25 or 30 minutes. Okay. But even like before I would have told you 45 minutes because when I worked at the blow dry bar, that's how long we got. So the guys walked in, they clocked in, that's when the time started, and the time they checked out in their ticket, you got 45 minutes. So I used to say that, and I timed myself the other day, and I was proud to say I did a really amazing, beautiful, vivid volume blow dry in like 27 minutes. So not a lot at all. Not a lot. But that comes from like finding my rhythm, you know, finding my flow and my fluidity and mixing that with my art. So trying a few things, I didn't like that. Let me go back to that. And I also know, so if I'm just being perfectly honest, I know where I can cut corners, right? Because I know I'm a stylist. I like to make money, so I know where I can and cannot spend my time. So if I spend lots of time up here, I better put it into overdrive when it comes back here. So that's how we're going to approach that.
I had to take smaller sections, so I just threw the other part on top of the other one.
That's fine. Right here.
Yeah.
So max volume. So I'm going to get in my rhythm for a second. You can stop me, you can ask questions, but I'm just going to show you what it's like once I get in the rhythm and I just kind of let my body do the blow drying for me. Is that cool? So you guys can see? So just letting kind of my body tell me where I can and cannot speed up, how to adjust it so that I get the most amount of pull or the most amount of tension. So I need to lean into it. If it's not coming, if it's sticking, so I need to go back and readjust. Is it because I still have moisture in there? Or is it because I need to loosen up on my flow and let a little bit of that tension go through there? I want those ends to heat up until they're beautiful and until they just shine. And then I release. And then I'm going to go on to my neck. So lifting up and away from the scalp. Ironing out that hair. Making sure I've covered all the sides that I need to. Once I know that base is dry, that's when I can start going up and over, pushing it up. If I feel some tension, bring it back towards me. Heat that hair up a little bit more. Have you ever put a warm knife through butter? It goes through butter a lot better than a cold knife, right? So I just heat that hair up a little bit more so that my knife can slide through. Keep those ends up. Letting them go over the round brush, finding that rhythm, giving myself a little bit of bounce into it. Waiting until I see the shine that I like. Using my fingers to turn my round brush, never my wrist. I don't know about y'all, but I have a few more years in this industry. That's why I lead with my foot, not my back. And that's why I lead with my fingers not my wrist. That's how I'm going to stay with you guys for a few more years. So a lot of people say, well, when I get to the back, sometimes I notice I have a little bit of an awkward part, right? And I may have shared this, guys, with you first time. So I'm always going to take a larger section. And I'm going to do that for a reason. Do you see my left is going to be a little bit larger than my right? And I'll tell you why in just a second. So this is where I really go all the way with it. Ironing that hair out, making sure it's nice and smooth. Readjust my body position just like I would readjust during a haircut. Making contact with that hair. Now I want to push it up. Push it up so I lean into it. Oh my goodness, I leaned into it so much I took my cord out of the wall. See how excited? See how into it I get? So because I have this curl that's going to fall over, I'm going to go with a little bit of under just to create an interesting focal point when I take the hair down. Putting it nice and warm. Using my fingers, not my wrist. Playing with it a little bit. So my dad used to tell me I would try to make money in the summer when I was off of school, and I always wanted to cut grass because I'm like, well, dang, all you gotta do is ride on the little lawnmower, listen to some music. Back in the day, it was a boombox. It was not the iPhone. Put it on the deck, listen to some music, right? And then he only let me do it like once or twice because when he got home, there were lines all in the grass. Because I didn't understand the concept of once you go over the line once, when you go over your second rotation, cover about 50% of your line. So it was like line, grass, grass. And he did not like that for his lawn. So when I started coming up with this technique, my dad's my hero. It made me think of him a little bit because I said to myself, I'm getting a butt crack part in the middle. Why is that happening? And then I was like, I need to borrow some of the last section of grass, right? So I come over, do you see how I borrowed some of my last section of grass? A little bit louder.
I'm quiet.
Oh, there you go.
I said I appreciate the tip you just gave us because I've been doing these blow dries the way you taught us the last time, and the only thing that keeps bothering me besides going back and forth in that root area was that I had that split.
Okay.
So it made complete sense now that that is why, because I'm not taking from the other side.
Just borrow a little bit of your previous. And he blends together really nicely, and he's not supposed to take up so much real estate on your brush that you can't fit your section in there. That's not the goal at all. In fact, quite opposite. The goal is you borrow just enough that he blends everything together really nicely. So now we're done, and I'm going to take my section down. You okay? So now I'm going to take my favorite product ever. This is my Alakui Wild Ginger Shine Spray. 1, it's an anti-humectant. 2, it works really beautifully if you're going over with any sort of smoothing iron, curling iron. It's going to be a really great thermal protectant as well. And this is what I like to use when I'm about to go Instagram because the lipids put a beautiful shine on it and it's stunning.
Can I ask you a question?
You may.
I've heard a lot of people say it's a heat protectant. I was told it's.
So it's not, if we're looking at like, for example, its classification, that was not its intended purpose. Its intended purpose was not to take the place of hot off the press. but many of us have found that it absolutely is, because what it does is it sits on top of the hair and those lipids wrap themselves around that strand. So not only is it adding shine and a little bit of anti-humidity, but it's really acting as a thermal protectant as well. Anytime you layer things like that on the hair, you have a pretty good chance that they're going to act really well as far as a barrier. Yep.
Okay.
So now we're going to go through and use our latest and greatest, and this is our Rare Perfecting from our marula oil, our Rare Perfecting hairspray. It's going to be a lightweight, flexible hairspray. So this is going to be great if you have a bender or a flipper. It smells just like our marula. It's insane. And do you see now? So we have lots of body, lots of flip, but she does not have what we would classify as a Texas volume blowout. Also, when we don't blow dry that part in, she can part anyway, and she gets just as much body and volume without going flat throughout her, 2, 3, 5 day wear. And it's just really loose, right? Like it's a lot of bend and flip. It's a lot of back and forth. It's not too tight on the curl. So this is really more, like Christy said, something that about 80% of our guests are going to love and enjoy. Also, look at how it shows off her color, right? So imagine if we had multi-dimensional color in there. Not only does it show off the beautiful layers by really accentuating them, getting them to crash apart, but it absolutely shows off that color as well. Yeah? Awesome. Thank you for getting our model. You're so gorgeous. All right, you guys. So, this is where I leave you.